What's good, humans? Good evening. How are we? Hopefully, you're all doing very, very well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. We are trying to get to 30,000 subscribers before September. We will get there, but I do need your help. So please don't forget to like and share the vids. All right, I literally just got home from the gym. No joke, like 10 minutes ago. I've still got the chalk on my hands. I've not even washed my hands. And I was getting so many messages in the gym saying, Ade, what is going on? In fact, that wasn't the messages. Ade, what the F is going on with Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders? A lot of you, I'm sure, have watched the IFL TV interview with his dad saying the fight is off. Now, if I'm honest with you, I don't know anything more than you guys. I have no idea what is going on. I 110% believe this fight still happens in the early hours of Sunday morning. It's the biggest fight of the year. If AJ versus Fury doesn't get made, there won't be a bigger fight this year than Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders. It's a massive fight, and I think this fight still happens. Just to bring you guys up to speed, if you have been living on Mars for the last couple of days, there has been a few issues with regards to this fight, but the most recent one is the ring size. Billy Joe Saunders was actually on TalkSport yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, it was yesterday, talking to Jim White, and I played the audio out today on my show where he's talking about the fact that, I don't know if it's in the contract, I don't know that, I can't even remember if that's what he said, but he assumed that the fight was going to take place in a 20-foot ring. The ring size we're hearing is 18 foot. Now, he doesn't want that. You can understand why Canelo would want a smaller ring. In this fight equation, Canelo is most definitely the puncher, although a very good boxer, but he's the puncher and Billy Joe Saunders is the boxer. A puncher would obviously want a smaller ring, right? A boxer would obviously want a bigger ring, right? He wants to be able to move around, get out of the pocket easier. So Billy Joe Saunders wants the bigger ring. Canelo wants a smaller ring. Now, look, if in the contract the fight is said to have happened in a 20-foot ring, then there should be a 20-foot ring. If not, if it doesn't say anything about the ring size, then this is going to get tricky. And the reason it's going to get tricky, in fact, before we even go there, so that's just one issue. Billy Joe Saunders has obviously complained about, I think, gloves, which, look, he's got a right to complain about. That's another issue. And prior to that, there was a few other things as well. I think I spoke about last week when Billy Joe Saunders was talking about the fact that there's no British judge and the fact that he was told this fight wouldn't happen in front of 70,000 people. Those things are all going to happen. So those things you might say all benefit Canelo. I don't know, but that's what Billy Joe Saunders thinks. And I kind of agree with him to an extent. So anyway, let's talk about the ring size, and if it isn't in the contract, what's going to happen? If it isn't in the contract, well, there's two things that happen. A, the fight goes ahead, or B, it doesn't go ahead. That's it, right? I mean, this is tough. And this happens all the time when an A side fights a B side and it's not a mandatory or it's a voluntary, right? If it's a voluntary, the A side will always dictate. Even if it's a mandatory, the A side will dictate. But if it's a voluntary, even more so, because it's almost, the A side almost makes it feel like I'm giving you the opportunity. You take it or leave it. You do what I do or the fight doesn't happen. Now, Billy Joe Saunders strikes me as the kind of person that will say, fuck it, the fight ain't happening then. He honestly strikes me as that kind of character where, yes, he might like a pound note. Who doesn't, right? He's a boxer. He's a prize fighter. He should be fighting for a prize. But I almost feel like you can't fuck about with him. He seems like the kind of person where it's like, what? You think you're gonna bend me over backwards? Ain't happening. Ain't happening. Look, again, I feel like the fight will go ahead. I think these things happen. This isn't the first time, and it certainly isn't going to be the last time. You guys must remember when Tyson Fury was going to fight Vladimir Klitschko in Dusseldorf, and there was an issue about the foam in the canvas. So how much foam in the ring? Sorry, there was an issue, and the fight was close to being canned because of the foam. I remember Mick Hennessy sort of arguing with Vitaly Klitschko, and they were like, if that foam doesn't get changed, fight's off. And in the end, they sorted out the foam issue and the fight happened. There's been numerous fights down the years. How many fights have been nearly called off because of gloves? So many. Like so many. I remember Marcus Maidana and Floyd Mayweather fight nearly being called off. I think the rematch because of gloves. But in an A side will always dictate and get as much advantage as possible. It happens. And there's been bigger B sides, way bigger than Billy Joe Saunders had to bend to A side demands. Whether it be hydration clauses. I mean, even Canelo himself, when Floyd picked him to fight at light middle. I say light middle like that because it wasn't even light middle. Floyd asked him to come down to 151. So Floyd wanted as much advantage as possible. Light middle, really. I mean, look, like anything above 147 is light middle, but really and truly, we know light middle being 154. Floyd was like, you want to fight me? 151, or was it 152 pounds? Manny Pacquiao. And by the way, Canelo was a massive B-side. I say massive as in, yes, Floyd's a huge A, but Canelo's no slouch. I mean, even Manny Pacquiao, when he was going to fight Miguel Cotto, again, Manny Pacquiao on A-side, but Cotto, no small B-side, a huge B-side, right? You want to fight me? Fight has to happen at 145. Cotto back to do it. Because what? He's the B-side. He's like, okay, I want to fight you. I will give up to your demands. We've seen fights where, like, how many fights have there been hydration clauses put in by the A-side? Again, A-side always dictates. I don't like it. It just happens in boxing. It's something stupid. There must be people from the outside looking in thinking, what? When you hear those type of things, but we're used to it. We're used to the A-side always putting in these crazy demands to make sure they've got an advantage rather than the fight happening at a 50-50 playing field. And that's what Billy Joe Saunders wants, right? Beating Canelo is tough enough. Canelo's the pound for pound #1 for a reason. Beating him is tough enough, let alone beating him with no British judges, 18-foot ring, a glove issue, and 70,000 fanatic Mexicans cheering him on. Literally everything he lands, they're going to go crazy. Everything he misses, they're going to go crazy. The odds are stacked in his favor. So Billy Joe Saunders is like, just let's fight on an equal playing field. Let's do that. Can we not do that? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Canelo is such an A-side in this that he might say, if Billy Joe Saunders doesn't heed to my demands, fuck him. I will wait a month and there's a queue of people that want to fight me. A queue with a capital Q. Like so many. If Billy Joe Saunders is willing to forego this because of a ring size, then bye. I don't know. I will say this though, it's a huge fight. In terms of numbers that this makes for DAZN, I'm trying to think. Charlo might make big numbers because in American, that will do. I think bigger. Golovkin won't do bigger. Demetrius Andrade, I don't think will do bigger. Benavidez will be good numbers. Plant won't do bigger. This is a huge fight. But again, guys, we've seen it with A-side, B-sides for years. Like, this is nothing new. B-sides will always be at a disadvantage. And the A-side will always take advantage. But yeah, ring size, this close to an event is a new one for me. I've seen so many different ones. Like we say, rehydration clauses, trying to drain someone at the weigh-ins, trying to make them go beyond. Like even Adrian Broner when he fought Sean Porter. Adrian Broner making Sean Porter go down to 1-4. I think it was 144 or 145. Just to try and get an advantage. In the end, it didn't matter. Sean Porter beat him. But we see it all the time. Like, I hope the fight goes on. I'm sure it will go on. I'm sure they're going to sort it out behind the scenes. In the end, I think it will be a 20-foot ring. And look, I'm super excited about this. I spoke to Paulie Malignaggi today about the fight, and he thinks that it's going to be a good fight, but he expects Canelo to knock out Billy Joe Saunders late, just because Billy Joe Saunders won't be afraid to stand and trade at some point. He's not going to run away. Yes, he's going to try and box on the back foot, but he will try and stand and trade, and he thinks that could be his undoing. But it's a great fight. I'm sure it's going to get sorted out. Do not worry. Remember, we are doing a live watch-along for this as well. I'm not quite sure what time the fight is, but I want to do the live watch-along at least 2 hours before the fight. I think the fight's going to be at like 4 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning. If so, we will start the live watch-along around 1:30. But let's just hope that this gets sorted out. I'm sure it will. Again, this always happens. Look, every big fight, no joke, every big fight, the A-side will try and find some advantage. Some will be very, very subtle that we don't know about. Some will be huge. Canelo here is trying to get a huge advantage by making this ring small. Huge advantage. And if I'm Billy Joe Saunders, I stand my fucking ground. Peace.